Welcome, everyone, to today's Coffee with Kendra, where we are talking about selling into chaos and how to break through the volatility. I'm very excited to have Lynn Heidi with me here again today. Lynn, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Lynn is a senior sales consultant who works with our clients, coaching and training them to sell more effectively and, shall we say, Lynn, break through the volatility.
Yes, that we're all feeling.
And I'm Kendra Lee, president and founder of KLA Group. If this is your first time joining us, we work with companies between $1 million and $100 million in annual revenue, typically in the B2B space. And we are very focused around how do you build your revenue generating engine, which means sales and marketing. So that's what we're talking about. And it is very volatile in the world right now, in the selling world. I chose this topic because what we're finding, and you're probably seeing, and we just need to acknowledge it, is that selling is hard right now. And I know we want to think about the positive aspect of that and the fact that if we think positively, we will be more likely to be successful, and we do want to. We also have to acknowledge if selling is harder, then we have to do things that will improve our chance of winning. And we have to recognize that, yeah, not all the time, everything will work. It's kind of like prospecting, Lynn, where
And I was going to actually jump in and say it's that we have to examine what we're doing and figure out if it's working or not. Now, Kendra, you are much more about A/B testing than I am. Even when I do the training, I'm always like, I'm so glad I have Kendra because I don't want to do the A/B testing, right? But I do think that it's important to look and see if what you're doing is as impactful as it was. And if it's not, figure out, is it just a tweak or can we just ditch something completely and try something?
And that's why I feel like if you are good at prospecting, you enjoy prospecting like both you and I do, we're always trying something new. We're always examining, did it work? Did it not work? What do we have to shift? And that's really where we are in selling today. So our goal for today is that you walk away with some strategies that you can use to regain control, break through all that chaos, and stay effective no matter what is happening around you. Because there is a lot that's going on. And so I am going to show you my favorite slide that we put together that shows exactly how we're all feeling right now.
And I have to tell you, before we jumped on, Kendra and I were talking, and this is how I feel today.
It was funny. Lynn joined and she said, it's a day. And I said, oh, then we're talking about the perfect topic. Selling is hard right now. We are in chaos. And when I talk about that, really stepping back and examining it, because Lynn is right. I do a lot of A/B testing. I do a lot of analysis of what's going on. When I step back and I look at it, it's that buyers are taking longer to make decisions. This happened to us this week. Out of the blue, suddenly there's a new competitor. All along, you're establishing this great relationship, you're figuring everything out, and then out of the blue, in comes another competitor. They are not making their decisions. They want to do something. They know they want to do it. They know they need to. They've even maybe set aside the budget, but they just won't sign, right? All of these things are happening.
And how about this? I had a conversation today where they said, this is twice as much as we budgeted. And okay, this is the first time we've talked about money based on all your things that you need. Where did the budget number come from? And why didn't we talk about, why didn't you bring up that was your number when we started talking so I could say, oh, well, we can't do this, but we could do this instead.
Or when you said, what's your budget? And they said, oh yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, if you had told me, maybe I would have recommended a different solution, or I would have told you we're probably not the best fit because I expect it'll probably be over here.
Yep.
So that they at least had an idea. So this is what, if you're feeling it, it's really happening. But the good news is there are strategies, just like in prospecting, when you're out prospecting and you're not getting the results that you had wanted, there are strategies of things that you do differently. But you can absolutely still be successful. People are still buying. It's just taking a little bit longer than what we would like. And I have a poll for everybody where I want to know, from your perspective, what feels hardest about selling right now? Is it that buyers are harder to read? Is it that conversations stall or they go quiet? Are there too many stakeholders with different property priorities? Are you following a structured system? That's hard. Or keeping momentum through uncertainty. What are you finding is the hardest? And Lynn, since you're having a day, what's toughest for you right now?
I have to say that for me it's one of two. So there are so many people with different priorities that seem to be in the mix right now. And organizations seem to be trying to make everyone happy. And that's really difficult when there are wildly different goals and targets for any given project, right? The sales department wants one thing, the accounting department wants another thing, the people in production want something completely different, right? Like, and there's someone who's a champion saying, we want all of these groups to be 100% happy with whatever we do. And that seems to, right, kind of be in the air, but the stalls and go quiet is even my trick of asking quick questions to get the dialogue going and just asking one thing, one easy to respond email, some of those are even going unanswered at this point, which is not used to.
Agreed. And we're going to share some strategies, but one that we don't have in there that just struck me is when the conversations stall or go quiet and you've reached out to ask that one question and they don't, the one thing that I find that is really helping is my motto to never leave a meeting without setting the next meeting.
So good.
No matter what. And yes, they may cancel, but more likely they will move it, not cancel it. So I haven't lost them completely. That's
now,
the one.
Kendra, when I look at everybody else's results, 60% of people are saying keeping the momentum through uncertainty is the difficulty, and 40% are saying buyers are harder to read. So the problems that I'm having are completely different than everybody else in the audience. And I think that's something we should acknowledge as well. What this looks like in any given business may be different by salesperson and maybe different by solution.
By opportunity too.
Yeah.
So, because I looked at these and it's like, I can tell you situations when every one of these have been a problem. And there are weeks where keeping the momentum going is just hard because of everything that's going on. And then there are others where I can't figure out, I thought I could read people. Now I can't read the people. Or that's the week where all the conversations stall and every meeting gets moved. It's like, so any of these could be it. So we're going to talk about shifts that can reduce the chaos, because when you've got a plan and you have some ideas of things you can do, that's when you start to feel calmer. And we had a blast doing this, but we put together an acronym of CALM to fit all the strategies to help you reduce the chaos that you're feeling right now. And our first one is calm authority. It's you having calm authority, not you trying to calm the authority.
And
because it's not right now.
But I will say that this is so important. Like, if you as the seller are not feeling calm, P.S. I wasn't earlier, right? You do need to have something that you do for yourself. And I mean, we could be all zen about this, but I'm not going to go crazy. But you do need to have a way in a meeting and before a meeting to make sure that you are the calm authority in the room. Yeah.
The deep breath, or I still use the Wonder Woman pose that was really popular for a while there. It's like, you got to get it out. And it's hard if you've got back-to-back meetings. But let's talk about what the shift is first. So here, this is shifting from pitching to framing the problem from the buyer's eyes. And yes, you know this. Everybody knows this. You have learned this in your consultative selling, that we have to approach it from the perspective of the buyer. However, things have been so busy and so frenetic that you may have slipped back into the easy transactional way of doing things. And you've got to stop that and go back to what you know is important and focusing on the buyer and what their problem is.
And that will also help with you being seen as the authority in the room, right? Because if you are bringing everything to them from a place of their problems being solved, it's so hard for them to object to a problem being solved. And it's so easy to object to products and services. Like,
yes, I don't need that product, but if I'm focused on what their problem is and these are solutions, then you can have conversations around which ones might work, which ones won't, and then you can go to what the solution is and the budget. So strategies that Lynn and I wanted to share with you. The first one is, at the beginning of every meeting, recap what you covered in the last meeting, because they may have forgotten, and it re-anchors them on what you were talking about, and it reminds them. And this is funny, Lynn. I met with a client today who, as we said, had been changing the meeting for the last 2 months. And the last time we met, he said, "Oh yeah, we should meet again. Didn't I need something? I can't remember what it was." It's like, yes, actually, you had some pretty hot priorities that you wanted to work on.
Well, and the other piece of it too is, I think that because to us, this is a business opportunity, right? Like we are very engaged with it because we want to get it closed. We want to earn their business. We want to earn the trust. And they have 1,000 other things going on. Think about how busy you are. Don't forget that 2 months ago when you talked to him, this was the top of his mind. And all the chaos in their own business has happened, and they're not thinking about it the way you are. And by recapping, you're bringing them back to the place that they were and reminding them why they thought it was important. Not why I think it's important, but why did they think it was important?
Exactly. And that, if that's where we talk about the
executive value
curve. The executive value curve, where more than ever today, if you're going to get through that chaos, you have to be focused on those things that are at the top of their curve, that the minute you say it, they can go, "Oh, that's right. You're right. That is really a priority." And that's kind of the environment that we're in right now. It's their top priorities are so many, they can't even remember what they are, and they need you to do that. And so starting your meetings by doing that brings them back into it, recenters them, and now they can have that conversation with you.
And it can help you understand more about where it fits into their priorities. Because if when you say this is what they might share more with you by you grounding them in what was their world before. All of a sudden you're finding out different things that have happened between now and the last time you met.
Exactly. And how that has shifted for them. And then the other strategy we said is you've got to include the prospect's goal and situation in your proposal. Because if you just give them a proposal with a short goal statement, they may not remember why that was important. I think including the situation is really critical. It brings them back to why they wanted to talk with you in the first place.
I will also say, if it is a proposal like we do, where there are stages of things that we might go through, tying every stage to how it's part of them fixing the situation and reaching the goal is super important to have them not say, well, we don't need to do that right now. If you're laying it out in an order, all of the sudden they're like, oh, yes, that is the way we need to do this because this is where we are. And you're really, you're kind of mapping out kind of the GPS. You're the GPS for them to get to the solution.
And Sandy said something similar because she said, if you win the business, you have to be prepared to keep them on track to successfully implement whatever you're selling. And it takes new skills to help your clients stay focused. And that's what we're talking about. These are skills that we haven't had to use or may not have used in the past. So notice the statement at the bottom of the slide, buyers feel overwhelmed right now. You are that steady hand, that calm authority. Okay, so that's your C in our calm to get through the chaos. The A is affinity. And here, for so long, we have been focused on fill the pipeline, fill the pipeline, fill the pipeline, and fill it as fast as you can. And just go to the next meeting, go to the next meeting, go to the next meeting. But if buyers are forgetting in between meetings, you have to be the one who is deepening that trust so that they will stay engaged with you. We still have to chase the leads, right? We need them, but you can't assume that because you got a first appointment 2 weeks from now, they're going to remember why they scheduled that first appointment. Or you had a first appointment and now you've got a second appointment 2 weeks from now. Are they going to remember why they were doing that?
Or how about this? We're in the holiday time of year, right? So what if your meeting is, right?
On the 23rd.
Or how about this? Your meeting is on January 7th, right?
Oh my gosh.
Like they've put that here we are, and they're like, you know what? Our stakeholders, especially this year, where really people are looking at 2 days off, 2 days in a row, right? That, what are you going to get done in those 2 weeks? We've got the dichotomy of, okay, we want to get all the stakeholders together, have the next conversation. Maybe they're not all going to be there any given day over the next few weeks, and they're trying to push you off, and actually I'm going to say it's not even the 7th of January. A lot of your prospects are pushing for like the 12th.
Absolutely.
Right?
Or the 3rd week or the 4th week.
Or all of a sudden we're into February,
Yes. So the strategies we have for you here, do what you say you're going to do, and then remind them when you're doing it because you're keeping them updated. You're staying in front of them, which keeps the problem that they had and the conversation that you had top of mind with them and they see the progress that you're making. Don't let them languish.
I think it's really important today that you are sharing the effort and work that you're putting into their success, right? Like, so, okay, remember they have a million priorities. So they've gotten off the phone with you and moved on to the next thing, even though you're working on it. So you need to say to them, hey, I'm waiting for information back from my supplier. We got pricing, but we're still waiting on availability. As soon as I've got that, we'll send you the proposal. Or you're like, give them these, it's not fluff, right? You're telling them what's going on.
No. You're keeping them informed because they don't know. And actually, it's probably something we should do all the time, not even when selling is hard, because they should know the level of effort that you are putting in on their behalf. But now it's especially important because it reminds them that there was something that they asked for, because you didn't just go and do it because you thought it would be useful. You're doing it because they had a problem. You're helping them with solving that problem. So you are reminding them or telling them, these are the steps that I'm taking. And what I have found, so I did a test. You talked about A/B test. I did a test where what I've discovered is if your meetings are 2 weeks apart, if you don't have some communication in between, like 2 to 3 communications in between, you are at a higher likelihood that they will push that meeting out. And what I discovered is that 80% of meetings would push out if there wasn't some communication in between. But if I communicate in between, then they will keep that meeting with that higher likelihood.
Well, how about this? They know you're putting in effort, right?
Exactly.
So, I can't blow Kendra off. She's done all of this work. And I know about it because she's giving me little updates.
Right. And it can be updates of what you are doing as it's part of your sales process. You've researched something. You've uncovered how an integration might work. You found 2 different solution opportunities that you're examining for them. You had a conversation with one of your peers, and you're not telling them necessarily what you found because that's for the meeting, but you're telling them that you've done that and you've got some answers and you're going to share that in the meeting. Or you might give them a hint about it. Because to Lynn's point at the beginning, you can ask them a question, because I ask a question in every email, but the number of people that respond is very low.
Well, how about this? You and I absolutely just had a sales conversation with someone where we sent a question and I worded it like this. I said, I can't believe I went to talk to Kendra about your proposal. She asked me, and I put it in quotes, I can't believe we didn't talk about that. I know we're talking on the 11th.
But if you let me know if something comes to mind before then.
Right? And actually, to that particular one, we did get a response, which made you and I able to have a better meeting with her because we had that extra piece of information. So not only are you updating them about the thought process, like what Kendra and I were doing, but also you're getting better information so they know that meeting is going to be productive.
I want to share with the last bullet that we have here, share specific reinforcement collateral that applies to what you already talked about. Boy, everybody has a ton of content now. You have blogs. If you attended the session we just did with Bryn, you may have an ebook. You may have a guide or a report. You have content that you've published on LinkedIn. You have videos. All of those you can use as part of staying in touch to deepen that trust. Just pick out the things that relate specifically to this particular contact. So frozen buyers require trust once they feel an affinity to you because you have been communicating even more with them in line with what their problems are. Then they start to feel safe with you and they'll have deeper conversations. And you can actually feel it warm up. which is nice. Okay, our third shift, this is the L, listening, is to shift from activity volume. We're just going to do a whole bunch of stuff. Lynn and I just told you, you should be staying in touch. Well, have intentional high impact actions. So it's not just, okay, I'm going to send them a bunch of emails because Kendra said I have to, because she saw an 80% conversion rate where people, completion rate, I guess, people kept their meetings. No, it has to be high value actions.
Well, and we did talk about, give them something to think about already. I will say that a lot of us put an agenda in the meeting request, right? And we're going to follow it. But I would say that it's also important for you to say, hey, I'm looking forward to our meeting. This is what our agenda is. Is there anything I need to add? Or is there anything else I need to be prepared to talk about? Right? So you're giving them the opportunity, not only you're telling them what to cover on the next call, but you're giving them the opportunity to say, oh, I also need to talk about this.
And new insights come out of that when you open it up and you ask them, is there anything else we should talk about? I like the idea of sharing observations. How many times do you get off a meeting with someone and you have another idea or another thought? That's another way of sharing with them something of value that maybe will cause them to think. And then send a recent video short. I like this one. We, of course, do a ton of video. We have our weekly sales tip. We have the Coffee with Kendra. We take snippets from it to create shorts for YouTube. We have a lot. We have videos on all the landing pages. So we have a lot of video to choose from. I like sending a video clip that is relevant to something that they are struggling with or that's adjacent to what they are thinking about.
And I'm going to say the relevance, right? Like, again, the intentionality that you are connecting the dots for them with this is the key.
Yes. There's one prospect that comes to mind that we talked about, longer sales cycles. I've been talking to now for, I think, 7 months. And each time,
I was going to say, we should say that in the KLA world, that's a really long time.
And that is a really long time, because normally when we're working with someone, 2 to 3 months, because of what we do and how we do it with the marketing or the sales, they need sales coaching. It's an intentional investment. It's not a huge investment so that it's a hard decision for them to make. This particular prospect, we're actually talking about moving them to HubSpot. So it is a bigger decision, but each time he shares just a little bit more information, it's really hard getting it out of him. But in between our calls, because it can be 2 or 3, sometimes 4 weeks, I have been sending him different things related to his issue. And in his case, he is interested in helping his sales team be more productive. And he really wants to see them using AI, and their current platform doesn't have AI integration. So I have sent him videos about what can a salesperson do using AI. I've sent him some marketing ones to show him, so marketing could create this type of content that sales could then use. Sales sequences information. So just little tidbits that continue to help educate him and show him, okay, if I do something like this, what are the possibilities related to what he has as a priority? And in the beginning, Lynn, I wasn't doing it. He was part of my A/B testing.
He was your A/B testing of people who were blowing off
He
your
was
meeting.
one of them. And I discovered when I am consistently doing that, he keeps the meeting, even if he doesn't have new information yet. And that's really what you want right now, because the sales cycle is longer. You just want to know where people are. You want to
Back
help
to
move them
reading.
along.
It's hard to read someone if they're not in the room with you.
Exactly. And sometimes it's hard to read them if they're not open and willing to share. But if you've invested all this, then they're willing to share. So buyers have too many priorities, as we were talking about. Prove that you're listening and that you can help with your high impact actions. And there's one other thing I want to add here. When we talk about prospecting, we talk about the Bloodhound follow-up strategy. As I was thinking this through deeply and sharing it with Lynn, I said, it's almost as though you have a Bloodhound strategy for between meetings that you have to use.
And I think it's good. You know, I'm a process-driven person, because if I don't have a process, I may do nothing. So having, right, not necessarily having templates as much as, okay, I know that in 2 days I need to send an email. And I want there to be that video short in there. Okay, so if that's 2 days from now, tomorrow I need to find the video short so that I'm ready. And then I start to like create a library for your sales team. Like,
Yes.
Here are video shorts about this product or this problem that we've helped people solve. You know, in tech, white papers tend to be hugely technical. I would say a white paper is something to send as long as you give them the executive overview in your email, right? So give them the easily digestible 1-paragraph version.
Mm-hmm.
Every technical person on this call just cringed when I said 1 paragraph, right? But truly, like, it's the, if you want more information, here it is, but here's the, 10,000 foot overview in my note to you.
Yes. Tell them what they should pay attention to in the document, right? So think about what your process is going to be. I like your approach, Lynn, of having, having a library. You can even, if you're talking about similar problems, you could create a series of templates related to that one problem. We talk about AI a ton because everybody wants to know, how do I use AI for sales, or how do I use it in marketing? And so we have a library of templates that you can pull from, where the email is written, the content is there, and you can pull it up and just tailor it to who you are sending it to. Mm-hmm. Okay. So our next shift, this is the M in calm, because we are calming the chaos, the volatility that you are feeling in your sales. This is shifting from one-size-fits-all messaging to adapting for mixed generations. And what's fun about this, having it follow what we just talked about, is Lynn and I just told you, you could have a library that you can use. And so now, Lynn, you're going, yeah, but if we have a library, isn't that one size fits all? That's probably what they're asking us, right?
Well, here's the thing, right? I talk to people all the time about how language is important. I will say that I absolutely work with salespeople who are in Gen Z, who are selling to people who do not even communicate the same way they do, right? So they want to be all human, direct, and flexible, yet I'm their Gen X decision maker that they're trying to sell to, and I just want them to tell me what the outcome is. So even though it's templates, again, the idea is really that we need to think about who we are and think about who we're talking to and what's that gap look like.
And I like to say that this is the first time I think that any of us in our generations, our 4 generations, have seen 4 different generations that we're working with as decision makers. What I was sharing with Lynn before we started is because we work with companies that are between $1 million and $100 million in annual revenue, most everybody we work with is privately held, which means the company is going to pass or be acquired. But we have companies that are passing from one generation to the next generation. And we're seeing where baby boomers or Gen Xers are passing their business to their Gen Zs. And the baby boomer or the Gen X is staying involved, but they are giving lots and lots of responsibility and authority to their Gen Z person that they're coaching and mentoring to take over for them. So it's really interesting how you have to shift the way you communicate with that baby boomer or the Gen Xer for how you have to with the Gen Z or millennial. And it's especially different for the Gen Z is what I've seen, because the millennials feel more familiar, maybe because we've been working with them for so long.
All right, so I have to throw this out. This could be a whole coffee with Kendra on its own, and you definitely need a different expert rather than me to have that conversation with.
But you don't want to be my expert to talk about the different. You can come and you can talk about your experience with each of them.
Well, how about this? I absolutely could be on a panel, but I think we need somebody who is a generation.
I think we need somebody from each generation, right?
Oh, okay. That would be interesting.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes.
How do you buy, right?
I was gonna say, and I think we can achieve that with all KLA people.
You know, we probably could. And it's fun to think in our network. So Lynn and I were just at a conference together in October. And one of the things that I liked best about it was that we had all the people who were new and really passionate and excited in that Gen Z area, as well as having the high end of the baby boomers, because we had some people that were really at the higher end of baby boomers, as well as the Gen X and the millennials. It was just so cool to hear all the different ideas and how they were presented and what they were doing and how they were selling, because it was a sales conference.
And it definitely was different. And there was some stuff that as a Gen Xer made me super uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And
all the TikTok talk.
Well, how about this? All right, so I'm now doing a monthly video on LinkedIn, and I actually reached out to one of the women, and I'm like, I blame you. This is my most popular thing, and I hate doing it. So,
but it is so popular, right? All the things on social, so critical now.
I have to adapt for my mixed generations of people who are our target, right? So, you know,
I have a webinar that I do for an organization that's all mortgage brokers, loan officers, so in the banking and the credit union area. And I have one that's all around social and why you have to be visible on social, because all your potential prospects will see you, they'll get to know you, and they'll feel comfortable. And that's smack at your Gen Z and millennials.
And they, right, again, just to jump to the bottom there, buyers expect to be understood. You know, sorry, salespeople, communication is our responsibility. So we have to, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, I have to be thinking about this
Mhm.
and figuring out the different buyers in an organization, right? So if you're looking at selling to corporate, there's a chance that all 4 of these generations are part of the decision-making process.
Definitely. And even because selling is harder, when it gets harder this way, when people are uncertain, they involve more people in the decision making. So it doesn't even have to be corporate that you'll see this. You absolutely can see it in small businesses as well. So I have made a mental note. We need to do a coffee with Kendra on selling to the mixed generations, and we should do a panel. That will be fun.
That will be fun.
All right, our last shift is the B in calm, because we're calming our chaos. This is be real. So we just talked about the mixed generations and all the different ways that you communicate with them. You have to shift from just doing digital blasts. We're going to take that templated email and we're just going to send that out. It's good enough, to having targeted real life outreach that feels human, authentic, real.
And again, because we're talking about more of on the opportunity scale, right? Either you've had that first meeting and it's the time between the second, or you're in an opportunity and you're having these multiple meetings because things are taking longer. You should know who they are as people, right? And they expect you to talk to them like they are people. So, it's critical, even for me, like, how direct a person am I talking to? Right? When I am communicating with somebody, I'm absolutely thinking about, okay, Lynn is pretty direct as a human, but maybe the person I'm talking to needs me to be kinder, gentler, softer. There needs to be a little bit more conversation around things than just getting right to it. I also do find that it's super important to understand how important is the impact to other people for someone. I don't know if you find this to be true or not, Kendra.
Tell me more what you mean.
That sometimes we're dealing with organizations and they're very concerned about, oh, well, if we do this training, how is the team going to take it that I want to be training them? Or
change management.
So there's, there's that concern, not just about result, but about how the people are going to be impacted. And that's another, for me, piece of the being real, like, know what's important to them.
Yes. And they want to see you. So some of the strategies that we gave you here are commenting on their posts on LinkedIn. And here's a trick that Lynn and I know. If you comment on their posts on LinkedIn, you will show up in their feed for the next 2 weeks. Right now, that's the algorithm, but you'll show up for the next 2 weeks. So that's a way to be visible. And then if you go and you comment again, you'll show up for another 2 weeks. But it has to be genuine, right? Don't just go comment for the sake of commenting. It's a good, genuine comment. And here's video again. Make one of your emails between meetings a video. When Lynn and I were talking about this strategy, we talked about it from 2 different perspectives. One is, do you make a video? The other is, do you just use a video? And Lynn, what do you like to do with video?
So there are 2 things. And again, we absolutely have had 6 people be successful using in the prospecting bloodhound using video.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I am more likely to use it as a follow-up. So making a video to send to Bill Lee after we have a conversation, I might use it that way rather than before I've spoken to Bill Lee.
Yes. And I would use a video in prospecting that might not be me. It might be something that I've selected from our marketing library that I think would be of interest to them. So that's how I would do that, because I told Lynn it's really hard, depending on what your role is, to make a video for everybody that I might want to make a video for. But I can go and find from some of my favorite videos that I think are really valuable, one that I would want to share with them. And this is between meetings, right? This is not the prospecting. This is in between your meetings. How are you going to stay engaged and show them what you're thinking about and that you have them top of mind? So that's a way of showing that you're human, because you are thinking about them.
I do love the FAQ strategies. So I will say, and you could certainly use video as part of answering someone's FAQs.
Absolutely.
Because I will send notes to people that say, hey, after we talk about blank, a lot of people have questions about XYZ. Right? So you're anticipating the questions that they may have while you're not in the room.
And people are, it's almost like the okay, I'll date myself, the hints from Heloise, or the Dear Abby, whoever Dear Abby is today, because there's so many different ones, but where you're saying, here's a question somebody had and everybody wants to know what the answer is, right? So
Yep.
The FAQs are somewhat similar to that. Now, if you were here for the last Coffee with Kendra that we did, where Bryn Tillman joined us, we talked about a whole strategy around LinkedIn where you can build your list of people who are interested by using an asset like an ebook or a report or something that your marketing would have created. And as part of that, we talked about LinkedIn posts and frequently asked questions related to that. The ebook tells you what are the types of posts you should create and what are the types of FAQs. And as a salesperson, you 100% can do that and have content for putting out on your LinkedIn that will be very interesting and show you as real. So I want you to go, I'm going to give you a link to that ebook because I think it's got good insight for you. So buyers are tuning out the noise, and that means you have to be real to create a human connection. So, Lynn, we just went through our 5 calming strategies.
I feel so much calmer.
You know, it's just having the plan. As we said, let's have a plan. So now you want to put this into action. If you're trying to figure out, how do I get through all this chaos? And boy, I could use some help, or my team could use some training or coaching. Book a coaching or a training consult. You will meet with Brent from our team, who will give you some expert guidance that he has. And we can talk about what are the goals, the challenges, the growth priorities that you have, and how could Lynn help you with that. Okay, so definitely book that, because we can help you. And we coach one-on-one as well as group coaching, and we have training. And boy, if we aren't busy right at the moment, because we're in this state of chaos. We got to get through the
I will tell you, so the link, so if you're old like me, click on the link that Bill just put into the chat rather than using your phone to get the downloads. So,
because you would prefer the link to a QR code, is what you're saying.
I still consume almost all of my media like this on a computer, not on my phone.
There you go. So you can do either way. So book a coaching or a training consult, and let's talk about what your situation is and if we should be helping you. Get the ebook that I mentioned, build a high quality opt-in HubSpot email list using LinkedIn engagement. In it is where we talk about LinkedIn posts and the FAQ questions. And that's what you want to be looking for your sales team or yourself. Marketing can use the whole thing. You're going to use that section. Oh, and look, I gave you a tip, just like Lynn said for white papers. I told you what to focus on. But go get that. It's on the landing page. Download it. Download the slides because they have all the strategies. And if you've got a team, you can use those strategies with your team in a sales meeting. You can ask them which ones are working.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. We've got 5 weeks worth of sales meetings because we gave 5 different sets of strategies. They'll take you quite far. So download the slides. And then I wrote a blog because I got really passionate about how selling is hard, on why selling takes 22% longer and feels 50% harder. Read it. It will make you feel better because you're not alone. You're not alone. And there are things you can do, which is what we talked about here. But go read that. And if you're a sales manager, read it so you can empathize with your reps, and then you can help coach them around those issues that they're feeling. All that is on the landing page at the link that has the QR code or the link that Bill has put into chat, because we want to help you break through the volatility. Our next Coffee with Kendra is in January, Lynn. It's January already.
Oh.
And we're going to talk about hiring because January is the beginning of the year. You're starting to look ahead. You've put your sales and marketing plan in place. If you haven't, go to our resources section, download your annual sales plan and put it in place. But now you're going to start looking at what do you need on your team? And so we're going to talk about why you keep hiring sales reps who fail and what to do about it. I have Dave Kava from PeopleSharp joining me, and we're going to talk about why it is that you are hiring reps who fail. Because there are some things that are happening, and it'll help you open your eyes to what you need to shift so that you aren't hiring reps who fail. And that's on January 21st because we moved our Coffee with Kendra's to the 3rd Wednesday of the month. Register now and let's solve that problem so that your reps aren't failing.